Okay, so welcome to Information System Analysis and Design. Okay. You probably remember from accounting information system that all of you have already did a little bit of information system analysis and design. However, this subject will go to much deeper and wider in terms of system analysis and design. Okay, so we will explore how to build an information system with very wide range of topics. We will mostly learn how to conduct project management, how to document everything. Okay, so documentation is a very big deal in information system analysis and design. Well, I'll tell you later. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can you see this? My screen?
Yes, Pak.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, first of all, everything has been available in Kuliah site as usual. Okay. There is the online class instruction. You're probably familiar with this. The course outline. I'll talk about this a bit later. And also the textbook from the library. So, the library provide us with the textbook. This is the textbooks. I already provide the links on Kuliah sites. You can access it using your Vital Book shelf, Vital Source Book shelf application. So this is the only textbook that I will use for this course. Okay, I will add many other materials as I see fit. There's always this problem with the campus connection. Anyway, we will discuss that later. Okay, so this is the course outline. Okay, as usual, you can reach me by email, or if you want to have a chat or video meeting or audio call, just make an appointment using Microsoft Teams. Okay, otherwise you can always ask during the lecture time. Unlike last semester, this semester the university has updated the rules on online class. So last semester the university rules was minimum of 4 lectures should be conducted online using video meet or synchronous using video meeting, and maximum of 7. This semester the rule has changed. Okay, we need to have minimum of 11 video meeting. Okay, so but don't worry, although this is a 3-credit course, the suggested length of video meeting is only about 40 minutes, so I will not take 150 minutes for video meeting. Probably it's just about 1 hour. Okay, to give you the materials and also to have a little bit of discussion. Okay, that's the course outline. That's the book, and also this is our lecture plan. Okay, all the topics there, and it's available in the textbook, and I also provide you with the lecture slide, which is also already available here. And also, just like last semester, every lecture session will be recorded, and the recording will be uploaded to YouTube unedited. Okay, so everything that has been recorded today will be uploaded to YouTube for you to see if you want. Okay, now how about the assessment? Okay, so assessment is based on assignment, group and individual, and also for exam. However, due to the nature of this subject, the exam would be in form of submission of group report. Okay, so you will work in group. Okay, I see that there are 8 students in this class, so you need to form a group, probably just like last semester, a group of 2 students each. So there will be 4 groups. Okay, I'll discuss that later, but you need to form a groups. Okay, and the group will work on building an information system. You need to submit from time to time group report. Okay, so I will give you assignment, and you need to submit that assignment as a group report, and that will also apply for midterm exam and final exam. Okay, so for midterm exam, for example, I ask you to submit a report, and for final exam, I'll ask you to submit a group report also. Okay, so why I did this? Because in my experience, there is no information system or application can be built by just one person. Okay. Some programmers probably will build an application by himself, or herself, but they need somebody else to test it, to conduct quality analysis, and so on and so forth. Okay. That's for the assessment. Okay. The assessment primarily need to be submitted through kuliah site. Okay, using assignment that will be here. Okay. However, you probably still aware that from time to time kuliah site will have difficulties in keeping up with the site. So from time to time it will go down and cannot be accessed. That's fine. If that's happened, alternatively we will use Microsoft Teams. Okay. Good. And that's for submission assignment. Good. So what application you will need? You don't need many applications. Okay. Any Office suites, either it's Microsoft Office or LibreOffice or OpenOffice or any other Office package. If you use Mac, you can use Apple Office. That's fine. You need an application to write reports, and that would be the word processor. Okay, you need an application for spreadsheet because you will create budget later. Okay, any spreadsheet will do. You need application for presentation. Okay, PowerPoint will be fine, and that's for there are other applications that might be helpful, like project management, but it can be replaced by Microsoft Excel. Okay, you probably need Microsoft Access sometimes, but that's not really required. You can replace that with anything, with spreadsheet. Okay, so that's the application. Any questions so far? So this is the textbook. Okay. As usual, it has problem. This has become a problem the beginning of semester. Okay, so the textbook will have the university's network become overwhelmed with a lot of students and lecturers accessing their system. Anyway, we can continue this. Okay, again, plagiarism, you probably familiar with this, will not be tolerated and will get a final grade of E. because you are working as a group, I will grade or mark your performance based on group effort and group report. Okay, so if you think your group mate is slacking or is not contributing as much as you, tough luck, you'll get the same mark. Okay. At the end of the day, if you're working in a team, in a group, and mostly you will, the performance will be based on the group performance rather than individual. Okay. If you watch Super Bowl last week, Tom Brady could not win Super Bowl without the support of his teammates and also coaching staff and any other staff from Tampa Bay. So it's always a group effort. Okay. Now, I will use an example from my experience in building information system. Okay. Mostly, I will use two projects that have been done in the past. The first project is when it was in its heyday, the application called photographer.net. It was the biggest during its day, the biggest photography related social media and organization in Southeast Asia. It has 500,000 registered and verified members. So in order to be a member of photographer.net, you need to submit a copy of government ID, either it's KTP in Indonesia or driver license or passport, and all the members' identification was verified. Okay, I knew for a fact because one of my duty at that time was verifying their IDs. Okay, 500,000. The closest competitor at that time was in Singapore. I can't remember the name of the organization, but they only had 160,000 members. We handled 2 million photos. Okay, and at that time we had this kind of it's like OLX now. Okay. And we had the escrow account, or in Indonesian you call it rekening bersama. Okay, and the value of transaction was about 5 billion rupiah per month at the time. So it was about. So I was responsible for building the third version of photographer.net. They are currently in their 5th version. Unfortunately, photographer.net was ceased to exist as company because in 2017 the founder passed away. Okay, so the remaining of the company was disbanded, and now it still exists as not for-profit organization. Okay, so that's the first experience, bad experience actually, because I was failed. The second experience that I will use, for example, is when I was hired by the government of Australia to build a system, not to build a system. My position at that time was quality assurance consultant. So what happened was, this is during Pak SBY era as president. At that time, Pak SBY had this idea, and Pak SBY had a lot of idea for poverty eradication. Okay, Pak SBY program for poverty eradication was so revolutionary, was so great that it was copied by the World Bank. Okay, currently a lot of consultants that built that poverty eradication program was sorry, was hired by other countries. Some of the consultants went to Afghanistan for poverty, or some others went to East Timor for replicating the poverty eradication program. Okay, now, what happened was Pak SBY program has three different strategy. First, this is the strategy that I called as give the fish. People who are in poverty, they need basic things like food, shelter, clothing, things like that. So that's why if you remember when Pak SBY was president, there is this program that now being repeated by Pak Jokowi called Bantuan Langsung Tunai, BLT. So the government give money to poor people. At that time was 100,000. It's not much, but it's helped. Why? Because poor people didn't have work. They didn't have income. They didn't have revenue. They don't have money to buy foods and everything. So the government gave them money. Okay, so that's the first part. The second strategy was to teach them to fish. Okay, so the first one is giving them fish to eat. Second, to teach them how to fish. So the second program is called PNPM, National Program for Community Empowerment, or in Indonesia PNPM, Program Nasional Pemberdayaan Masyarakat. And there are two streams. First, the rural, perdesaan, and also the urban, perkotaan. Urban program was managed by Ministry of Public Works, PU, and rural program was managed by Ministry of Home Affairs, Kemendagri. Okay, so initially this program, PNPM is just for a pilot project because Pak SBY cabinet at the time didn't have enough money to cover all over Indonesia. Okay, so how the program works? Each village, because this is rural, not urban, each village they will meet musyawarah. The resident of the village will meet, and then they will discuss what they need. They could ask for road. They could ask for fixing schools. They could ask for building something. Okay, or they could ask for training. They could ask for giving them education on how to say process their crops like coconuts or cassava or any fruits, things like that. And then the proposal, each village will create a proposal. What's the program? How much it costs? And goes to sub-district or kecamatan. In sub-district, all the proposal will be compiled and given priority. Why? Because the government will give each sub-district 3 billion rupiah for the programs. Okay, so all the villages, they call it Musdes, Musyawarah Desa, will discuss which program will be executed using that 3 billion rupiah. Okay, and then after they agreed on that, the proposal will be sent to the government. The government then will pay 3 billion to each sub-district, kecamatan, and then it will be used for building roads, building, creating, probably fixing schools, things like that. Okay. So it was success. However, the coverage is only small because the government only have limited funding. the World Bank saw that and see that that was a good idea, so they are willing to expand the program to all over Indonesia. Do you know how many villages in Indonesia? Only 63,000 at the time. Okay, so it was expanded, and it went well. Okay, so usually what happened was the government will pay for that at the beginning of the year, and then after everything has been done, all the program has been paid and has been conducted, finished, just like when you have any event with the student body, then the government will bill that. So they will, the government will tell the World Bank, see, we did this. This is the bill, paid us. Okay, so the World Bank paid for that. I don't know whether it's loan or something, but that the World Bank financed that. Program-wise, it's good. It has a lot of impact. And if you remember that currently every village in Indonesia will get 1 billion rupiah every year. Remember the Dana Desa program? Okay, that came from that. The idea came from it. So during Pak SBY era, Pak SBY see that as a good thing. So his government, along with the parliament, creating village law, where in that regulation stipulated that every village will get 1 billion rupiah per year for development. Okay. And it was executed by Pak Jokowi's cabinet. Anyway, the problem was not on the program. The problem was on reporting. Remember, because the government has to report to the World Bank that they did this and this the result, and this is the budget, and this is how much money the government spent on that program. So the reporting has to be good, has to be clear to the World Bank, so World Bank can pay for that, reimburse the government of Indonesia. That's the problem. Why? Because initially, when it was just covering few hundred villages all over Indonesia, the reporting was done using Microsoft Access, just like the one that you built for accounting information system. Microsoft Access is a good software for personal use, for a small database. But for big database that cover all villages in Indonesia, impossible. Okay, so that was the problem. So, but the government of Indonesia didn't have money to fix that. Okay, so, and they asked World Bank said, nah, we don't have money either. Okay, they rather spend the money for the program rather than building information system. So what happened was, Ministry of Home Affairs asking the government of Australia in that they have relation with a donor institution called AusAid. AusAid is part of Australian government. That's the donor side of Australian government. So every grant, every scholarship being given to Indonesian is administered and managed by AusAid. So AusAid said, okay, we'll pay for that. So AusAid creating a tender project for renewing or improving the reporting side, the information system for that program. And then at the end, they hire a local company in Indonesia. Then the problem becomes, during the development of this, they found a problem. The problem was simple. I'll tell you later about the problem, but the big picture of the problem, Ministry of Home Affairs, World Bank, sorry, World Bank, and also the AusAid and the developer could not reach an agreement on what the system should be. So they keep fighting, and that's making the process of building the system stuck. It's halt to the grind. Okay, so I try to find somebody to solve that problem, and that's when I came in. So I was hired by AUS8 my official role was as quality assurance, to make sure that the system being built having a good quality. But my unofficial role is as referee, to solve the conflict between, especially the conflict was actually between World Bank and Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, AUS8 was caught in the middle because they financed the program. Okay, so that's when I came around. So I'll use example from both projects that I've done for this class. Okay. So your first assignment for next week is to form a group of 2 and pick a system. Okay. You can, yes, Erin, you want to ask something?
Sir, am I audible?
Excuse me?
Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you. So, go on.
Sir, we consist of 7 people, so it is okay if one group consists of 3 people?
The list is 8.
7. But in this
No.
meeting, only 7.
Yeah. In this meeting 7, but there's actually 8 of you. Okay, I tell you what. If until next week the 8 people doesn't appear, then yes, one of the group can consist of 3. How about that?
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. Now, forming group is just the first part. The second part, you need to decide what kind of information system you want to build. Okay, you may use the same topic as in your accounting information system, but we will expand that much wider. Okay, so there will be additional work on top of that what you already done. Okay, if you remember, in accounting information system, it's just like half a semester, and it's only like small application. This one, we have a complete application starting from the beginning until the end. Okay. So is it clear what you need to do? Any question about the assignment? Yeah, Erin.
Sir, so the assignment is submitted in next
Now you don't. Well, you don't need to submit it actually, but you need to prepare to tell me what kind of information system you want. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You don't need to submit anything. Just prepare it. Okay. Now, part of, well, it's actually a lot of majority part of my work as information system developer was presenting. Okay. Reporting. What did I report? The progress. Okay. Why? Because it's difficult to see the progress of information system development. If you build a building, you can see when the foundation was laid out, you can see when the concrete was poured, you can see when the tile was being set up, you can see the painting process, things like that. But with information system, because it's abstract, you need to actually verbally express the progress. Okay, I'll give you examples from my past experience on what the progress report look like. Okay, don't worry, I'll give you examples. Okay, any question before I start the lecture topic today? No? Okay. Can you see this PowerPoint? Can you see the slide? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is system development in an organizational context. So because system will exist in organization, okay, it could not just stand alone on its own. Okay, it's a complex organizational process. The problem with system development is never technical. Technical issue is just doesn't really matter. The most complex problem was the organizational problem. People, person, human. That's the problem. I'll give you many examples throughout the course to illustrate my point. Okay, so it's used to develop and maintain computer-based information system. We will talk about computer-based information system, not manual, and used by a team of business and system professionals. So we will learn about techniques like interview, diagram. We will talk about tools like programming language, perhaps, database, things like that. And also we will talk about methodology. Methodology is the process, step-by-step process on building new systems. Okay, so this is actually a subject that I was interested, so much so that I write a book about it. Okay. Okay. At the beginning, when the computer was founded, invented, the focus was on programming, creating automation of process, like calculating something, producing some report, things like that. Okay, so the focus was on creating application, programs, software. But then, starting in the 50s, when the computers become common technology in business, people start to realize that one programmer to another, they are not the same. Some programmers could build decent application, others could build excellent application, but some others build useless and low quality software that crash all the time, could not work, make an error, things like that. So there was an effort to imbue a discipline, to create some kind of guidance on how to build a good quality, proper information system. And in the 70s, there was a major breakthrough, which is the birth of the first methodology. We will discuss it. It's called system development life cycles. Why I say that it was the birth, because in the 70s, the government, the UK government, United Kingdom government, make it mandatory for all information system project with the UK government to use that methodology, SDLC. Okay, so I'll discuss that later. So, and ever since that, many effort has been done to improve information system quality, like the use of case tools. Case tools is software to help developer building information system. When I was learning about information system methodology in early 2000, case tools was a huge issue it was popular, but unfortunately, the user, case tool wasn't helped that much. It's just, well, that's a nice tool to have, but it doesn't really improve the quality of information system. And plenty of them currently still developed. Until now, we have mobile application development, okay, mobile system, which is basically just changing. I'll talk to you later about distributed and internet system, but it's actually just the face of the software. If you use an application, any application usually have two different sides. The one that facing the user is called the front end, okay, and the one that actually doing the hard work, doing the core business process, it's called the back end or back office. Okay, so front end and back end. So there are some programmers that specialize in front end, that creating application that's beautiful to see, nice to use, things like that. But and also programmers that specialize in back end, building the engine. Yeah. I could not do front-end development. I don't have enough skills and competence for front-end development. I don't have a good taste in graphic. I don't have good graphic skills, things like that. So most of the time, my experience was in back-end. Okay. In fact, that was my work when I was doing when I was developing application for photographer.net. So I was responsible for backend. Okay, but that's I'll give you examples later. Okay, so the one who create or conduct the system development is called system analyst. Sorry. So nowadays, sometimes they call business analysts, okay, or system developer, things like that. Okay, now, system development methodology, what is it? It's a standard process followed in organization to conduct all the steps necessary to analyze, design, implement, and maintain information system. And if you remember, this is the SDLC phases: planning, analysis, design, implementation, and maintenance. There are a lot of variants of SDLC. There are variants with 4 steps instead of 5, like what we have. If you remember in accounting information system, for design, there is logical design and physical design. In here, it's all become one, which is design. In accounting information system, there was no planning, but there is analysis, implementation, maintenance. If you picture or create a picture of SDLC, it will be like this. So it's circular, okay, cyclical. Okay. Now, like I said, there has been a lot of development in SDLC. Among other things, this is the one that called evolutionary model. So you build a system from a small scale, like this one, small scales, and then after it finishes, you start again with the bigger scale. Okay, and so the program will getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is actually the path that being used by application like Facebook, Instagram, Google, Amazon, things like that. They start from small with core business functionality, and then they will add a lot of any other features or delete unusable features, things like that. Remember when Instagram was only for displaying pictures, and then they have a story, they have short videos, things like that, Instagram Live, things, and now they can have this Instagram Live. So that comes after a long time of development. It's not just appear suddenly one day. Okay, so that's step by step, small incremental system. That's called the evolutionary, but it's always following the same step: planning, analysis, design, implementation, and then if is it good or not? Good, continue to maintenance, and then they'll start another planning for another part of the system. Okay, sometimes a system that has been implemented could not be continued, so they have to be stopped. Remember Google Plus? Okay, and yeah, there's that. Okay, so this is a short explanation of SDLC steps: planning. This is to identify the need, prioritize, and arrange. Analysis. This is actually finding out what the system need to be built. Design is translating the need or transforming the requirement from analysis into actual system. Okay, logical design, physical design, if you remember. And then implementation is from the design that has been built. You deploy the system. I'll talk about this later on, about how in a modern system analysis and design, you can build and then deploy the system simultaneously. And then maintenance. Maintenance is actually the biggest part of system development lifecycle. During its lifetime, a system might be built only 40% of its lifetime. Okay, the other 60% is for maintenance. Okay, so if you want to have career in IT, for example, and you don't like system development, you can go to system maintenance or operation. Okay, a lot of money can be made from that. Okay. And maintaining a big system to work 24/7 reliably, consistently, with minimum error or downtime is a huge task. Okay. That's why companies like Facebook, Google, Twitter, Apple, Amazon, they paid a lot, Microsoft, they paid a lot of money for people to maintain their system. So this is the, okay, again. SDLC traditionally being shown as a waterfall. Sometimes they said that waterfall approach. Okay, so it's planning, analysis, logical and physical design, okay, implementation and maintenance. Why it's called waterfall? Because after you finish with one step, then you can continue to another step. You could not start implementation, for example, before the design finish. You could not start logical design before analysis finish. Now, with waterfall, once the water fall from the top of the waterfall to the bottom, you could not return the water to the top again. Well, you could, but that will require a lot of effort, a lot of money, and almost useless. So what does it mean? It means when you find in, say, for example, in implementation that the design was wrong, it's very hard and expensive to return to logical design to fix it. Okay, that's why with traditional waterfall, each step has to be done properly and correctly. Why? Because the next step will depend on it. And if you made mistake here in analysis, for example, okay, a lot of people will suffer in implementation and maintenance. In fact, there was a research many years ago saying that 70% of system problem could be traced to the bad analysis. 70%. Okay, that's why we will spend a lot of time in planning and analysis. Okay. So this is the problem with waterfall approach. System require lock-in. Okay, after you finish, you cannot change anything, and that's not the way business works. Okay, change happen all the time. What's currently needed might not be needed next month or next year. What's currently the best in just few months will be the worst. Okay, so that's happened. That's why it's not flexible. Limited user involvement. Okay, there are plenty of time. I'll talk about this user involvement later, example. But a lot of times, user when they receive the system, they were surprised that this is not the one that we want. This is not the one that we need. So they rejected the system because that's the one. That's not what they need. Okay. And too much focus on milestones, submitting report. The actual system itself never being built. Okay, but I'll talk about this later. So there are a lot of others way to improve system development. Like I said, case tool, rapid application development, Agile, extreme programming. Agile is currently being used by many companies. The FAANG companies, FAANG, F-A-A-N-G. It stands for Facebook, Apple, Amazon, N is Netflix, I guess, and G is Google. Traditional SDLC could take up about a year to build a new system. With Agile, you just need 8 weeks or 2 months to build a new system, but I will discuss that later also. Case tools, this is graphical diagramming tools to help building a system. I actually use one of the case tools in Elective Course database management system, but that's just for database, not for the whole system. Okay, so this is example of case tools. You build a diagram. This is called class diagram. I will introduce you to this later, but you don't need to master this. Okay, and I will not use this for your assignment. Because it takes a whole new semester to learn about this. Okay. Rapid application development, it's cutting the time to build your system by half. So instead of 1 year, it could be built within half years. I'll skip this. This is too technical. Agile. So this is fast, and this is actually a good methodology because it's in short term you build a new system and then you can adjust to the change. We'll discuss this later. Okay. Extreme programming. Okay. I don't. Sorry. Object-oriented. This is a technology that came up in the 80s and 90s. It stemmed from object-oriented programming. Again, research shows that new technique, new tools didn't really improve system development. Why? Because the problem is not on the tools or technique. The problem was on project management. We'll discuss this in depth on the incoming lectures. Okay. Okay. Rational unified process. This is a new object. One of the developer or inventor for a rational unified process, his name is Al Davis. He is actually visiting our faculty back in 2007 for a month. Okay. On my invitation. I'll tell about him later. Okay. That's the topic for today. Okay. Any question about topics today, about our lectures, and about the assignment for next week? So for next week, form a group, either 2 or 3. Okay. Hopefully it can be 2. And then prepare a short presentation on what the system you want to build. Okay. So 3 or 4 groups will present next week on what the system that they will build. Okay. And I'll give you feedback on your proposals. Any questions? Anything you want to ask? Yes, Erin. Yeah, Erin, go ahead.
Sir,
Yeah.
so I just want to ask about after we and then so we make the progress of the information system.
Okay, so yes, basically all your assignment is kind of progress report on the state of your development. Like for example, I said to you, create report on database, then you can create the report on database that you develop, or create report on later on user interface, and then you create report on user, things like that. Okay, and then from time to time, I will ask you to present your report. Is that clear, Erin?
Sir, so for the next week, it is depends on us want to create the report user or interface.
No, no, no.
Just
For
like
next
that.
week, you just need to tell me what kind of system you want to build. Do you want to build a system for selling products? You want to build system for inventory, for example, or you want to build a system for, just to give you illustration. In the last 3 or so semester, there has been students that create application for ordering daily meals to be delivered. There are students that build application for handling customer for motorbike service. There are customer that creating some kind of application like HaloDoc, but specific for psychologists, things like that. Okay. So just to give you illustration. Is that clear, Erin?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good. Any other question? Okay. If not, I think that's it for today. Thank you for attending the lectures and see you next week.